Hello, BookTube. So this will be my follow-up video for the previous video that I did. The previous video was a recap of my reading for my first week of my speed reading and reading comprehension challenge. This next week will be uh, just a TBR. This video will be just a TBR for my upcoming week of reading. So this will be my second week, and I hope to get 4 books done as well. And I'll present the books and uh, present the 4 books that I'll be reading. And just as a caveat, one of the things that I found so enjoyable about this strange process, really, is how much more joy I have in choosing what I read. I feel like I can read any book I want at any length, and I don't have to worry about um, slogging through it for so long because I'm a slow reader. So I can choose books that I normally wouldn't, uh, that I would be only mildly interested in or not, or books that I wouldn't normally read, but I feel like reading them will give me some good, interesting knowledge on something else. And there's evidence of that here already in my TBR for this upcoming week. And I'll go through that now. The first book is Consilience, The Unity of Knowledge by Edward O. Wilson. Uh, my e-reader, for some reason, made the cover much smaller than it would normally be full on the e-reader, but the words are the same. Words are full, but just the cover is like that. And this book, from what I know, from what I understand, is a book about the Edward Wilson's popular science writer. He's trying to search for or explain a, a theory of unity of knowledge or something, where he's going across the hard sciences, the to the social sciences, to the humanities, and so on, and drawing connections and parallels and just combining them all into what the subtitle says, a unity of knowledge. Um, and so I chose this book. It's a interesting process why I chose this book. I didn't. This is not a book I normally would be interested in ever wanting to read. Um, and because he's a popular science writer usually, and I don't find that aspect of reading interesting. I don't Science writing like that doesn't interest me, or especially pop science writing like that. I'd be more interested in reading a textbook, an in-depth textbook of chemistry or biology or something, than reading some kind of than reading this popular pop version of science. And yeah, so this is not something I'd be normally interested in. Just as a note, I will say this book came out in 1999, so it's quite an old book already. Um, but the reason why I chose this book has to do with the next book on my list. Book number 2 is in this book. This is the Library of America volume of Wendell Berry's essays from 1993 to 2017. Wendell Berry is one of the few authors to have the honored distinction of being put in the Library of America volume while they're still alive. This is the second volume of a 2-volume box set that I have. The first box set is like 1960s to 1993, but I won't be reading this entire essay collection. There's one certain book in here called, let's see, Life is a Miracle, an Essay Against Modern Superstition. And that book was written in 2000. So this book is a response to this book by Edward O. Wilson. This book here, which was written in 1999, A Unity of Knowledge. I guess that this comes from a very much a secular perspective, and so Wendell Berry wrote an essay in response that's included in its entirety in this volume. It's 100 pages in this volume. Yeah, and he directly responds to Edward Wilson's Consilience and about materialism and reductionism and uh, creatures as machines and the lack of religion in the book, that which explains the subtitle, an essay against modern superstition. Because Edward Wendellberry is a farmer and an environmentalist, but he's also an essay writer and a novelist. And he is very he's certainly religious in his thinking. But I found him an interesting perspective because nowadays you'd call him a small C conservative, but he's also very much an environmentalist and very much he's also not friendly to capitalism either, which I find a very interesting combination, which is why I got the 2 volume set. And so I've been wanting to read that 100-page or book, which is included in its entirety. But first, I wanted to read um, this book first. So I'll read this book, and then I'll be reading The Response by Wendell Berry, which is 100 pages. So it shouldn't take that long. And then the third book that I'll be reading is A Voyage to Arcturus by David Lindsay. David Lindsay. This book is in the public domain already, so that's what this version is. It's a nice edition, I think, from standardbooks.org. I do recommend some of their ebooks. They're a lot more nicer put together than Project Gutenberg, though I do like Project Gutenberg as well. But yeah, anyways, this book is from the 30s. It's a fiction, or it's a fiction. It's a novel. Yeah, it's fiction, but it's also considered an early work of science fiction, because from what I know, from the limited knowledge I have of this book, it's about a character that goes on these wacky adventures across the galaxy, but it's really like strange adventures, like prepared to be really baffled by this novel. That kind of craziness is from what I understand from reactions to it and from contemporary responses, just for the little that I know of this book. But what I do know about this book that really did interest me to pick book up, or this novel up, is that C.S. Lewis was one of the famous C.S. Lewis and also Harold Bloom were both big fans of this novel. C.S. Lewis wrote an essay called On Stories, or and he really praised this book as a good example of what a story should be. And so I want to read this book and see how something so apparently crazy as this can actually work as a good story. So that'll be the one novel that I end up reading this week. And then it's under 200 pages based on the font size that I have set on my e-reader. And then the next book, the fourth and last book for this week, it's called Move Fast and Break Things: How Facebook, Google, and Amazon Cornered Culture and Undermined Democracy by Jonathan Taplin. That's this book. Can you see it without all that glare? Oh, there we go. I kind of see that. So maybe it would be easier if I turn it off a little bit. But yeah, this book is a nonfiction book, obviously from the title. This book was a bit of a mistake of a buy for me. It was on sale on the Kobo e-store, where you can buy ebooks, and one of the things I love there is how they have so many books that are on sale for really cheap, and they're not just any, like your normal mass market, romance or mystery books that are put out so much or all the time. And there's nothing wrong with those books, but those are not the areas that I really enjoy like to read. I like nonfiction and some good novels, and so they do put some really good novels and really good nonfiction on sale occasionally. And this is one of the nonfiction books that I saw a few weeks ago, and on a whim I ended up buying it because of the subtitle is really tantalizing, really. And it's a really it's short. Uh, the font size that I have it at is clocks it at under 200 pages as well. So this should be also a quicker read. Um, and I think it'll be. I'm not sure what to expect with this. Um, the subtitles of the chapters, I do like to look at the table of contents as this book was what from 2018 or 2017, and it really does show how what he's concentrating on for this book. So you have like monopoly in a digital age and the social media revolution, um, what it means to be human in a digital renaissance. Um, so it's basically a look at big tech and with a capital B and a capital T. I always find that interesting, especially in today's age where Google, Facebook, and Amazon really do control so much of what we do online and how we interact and uh, what we all do. Even with YouTube, with this platform that's using Google, and I use Amazon quite regularly to check on what books I want to buy. I don't usually buy from Amazon so much, and I have reasons for that, but uh, yeah. Anyways, so that's what this book will be, and this book will also be short. And as you notice, a theme for this week is how short some of the books I'll be reading. That's because I'll be a lot more busy this week, I think, with my time, especially since I'll be going away for a bit, and I don't expect I'll be doing a ton of reading during that time, and so I have to accommodate um, by choosing some shorter books for the latter part of the weeks because it's the new year and then uh, doing some family things. But yeah, thanks, BookTube.